Hi, it's Chef Rick, and today I'm making rhubarb crumble and custard. So these are sticks of rhubarb where I am just chopping off an inch of the top and an inch of the bottom. They come with a ginormous leaf on them, but when you get your stick of rhubarb, it's probably going to look like it was when I first got it there. Fresh rhubarb is very, very firm. It's not going to be too bendy. These are about the size pieces that you want. I'd say that's about, what, 1.5 inches, 2 inch. And if you want to keep them uniform, use the first piece that you cut as a measurement guide. See how I'm doing it there with the knife, and then it means all your pieces are going to be around about the same size. Rhubarb falls apart and breaks apart very, very easily when cooked, and it just turns to mush. It's the most delicious I can't say delicious mush delicious mush. It's the most delicious mush you could ever taste, but mush nonetheless. So yeah, there's all the pieces chopped up in a bowl, of which I'm going to add some golden castor sugar and some Marsala wine. You do not need to add the Marsala wine if you don't want to, but if you do, if you like Marsala wine, or if you want to give it that extra little kick, anything works at this point. That's like a fortified wine, so Marsala, port, Buckfast, whatever you want. It doesn't give it an alcoholic taste, but it gives it a certain... You'll know it's in there, and it's delicious anyway. So I'll mix that all around, and now we're going to add that to a saucepan on a low to medium heat. You want to monitor this one a little bit because you do not want that rhubarb to completely break apart. So put a lid on it so it's kind of steaming in its own juices a little bit as it's bubbling away. But just keep going back and checking on it. Keep going back and checking on it. You probably want to do this for about 10 to 15 minutes, or until your rhubarb starts to fall apart, as I'll show you in a minute. But if you can keep it on a really nice low heat with the lid on, that's what you're after. Whilst I'm doing this, you know what I'm going to ask: if you can like my video. Only if you like them, click like. And if you want to subscribe and see one of my videos, I do 3 a week, just click the subscribe button below. It's free of charge, and it really helps me out. So you see, I'm just monitoring the rhubarb now. Here we go back to it again. 4 or 5 minutes later, you can see it's starting. You can see it's just starting to break apart. When the rhubarb is just starting to fall apart, obviously some of them, which are going to be in the hotter parts of the pan, will fall apart sooner than the rest. So as and when they're starting to fall apart, is round about the time to bring that off. So you can see it's breaking, but there's some firmer bits in there. You see all the steam that's coming off. You can tell that's nice and hot. At this stage, I'm going to take it off the heat. Just test that one's not hot. Take it off the heat and just let it sit there now, because there's what they call residual heat in that pan. If you took that off when it was at the stage where you want it, then it's still going to continue cooking if you like. So anyway, here's what we're going to be serving it in, or here's what we're going to be cooking it in. So you can see if I add that rhubarb into the call that pan tray. Not a ginormous portion. This was 3 sticks of rhubarb. So as with any recipe, just double it up the more that you want to make. So now we're going to make the crumble topping. So that's plain flour, unsalted butter, cold, just chopped into cubes, and then we rub it together. So you'll often see this in recipes where it says rub something together. So when you're rubbing it, you literally means rubbing it between your fingers, and that's why you want to have cold butter. Otherwise, it would just kind of melt in there and turn into like a roux ball almost. If you remember that from the lasagna video, I'll put a link to the lasagna video here. So yeah, you want to do this as quickly as possible because I have hot hands anyway. But you don't want the butter to melt. So I'm just rubbing the butter and flour together with my fingers until it gets to like almost like a breadcrumb consistency. In there was some Demerera sugar. Demerera sugar is amazing flavour, of course, but it's really quite, well, it's coarse. It's rough in texture. So as I start to rub that again, any of those bits of butter that hadn't really broken up properly, that Demerera sugar comes in and does the same thing again. And then rolled oats, basically porridge oats, big porridge oats, they're rough to the touch and they do the same things, but we don't want to overwork it at this point. It's already a really nice texture. That's our crumble topping ready to go. That is now cold. That's the rhubarb is cold, 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 cold. That's been in the fridge or it's been sat on the side, because if you didn't have it cold when you had this crumble top, if it was still hot, the butter that's in that crumble top is just going to melt. So you want to make sure that you add in that crumble topping onto a cold rhubarb. At this point, that will sit there as long as you need until you're ready to put it in the oven. So I think mine sat in the fridge for a little bit. It doesn't need to go straight into the oven at this stage, because obviously we're going to make a custard. Here we go, making a custard. In that pan we start with the whole milk, and then we've just added double cream. Again, it's going to be on a fairly low to medium heat. 4 egg yolks, some plain flour and caster sugar. We're going to whisk them up. Now, the first time I did this, as it started to whisk like this, I was like, oh, hang on, is that gone wrong? Is that not going to form itself? It almost looked like it had gone into like a scrambled egg, only in look. Obviously the egg's not cooked at all, of course it's not scrambled, but you'll see here it just gone, it suddenly caught and then went very smooth and very, very creamy. So don't worry when you first see that, just keep on whisking it with an electric whisk, or if you want to put the effort in with a hand whisk and watch what happens. I won't do a cut or speed it up, you'll see that it just gets very, very, very smooth. So when it's at this stage, I was like, phew, look, that's looking good. Whilst I'm doing this, I'll take the second chance, as I always do in these videos, to ask you to please subscribe to the videos if you want to subscribe and see I do 3 new videos a week. And click like, but only if you like the video. In that saucepan, we don't want it to boil, so I'm just kind of monitoring it, and I'm being really delicate with it and making sure that it's a low heat. That's the milk and double cream. Into the mixture that we did there, I've added some vanilla paste. Don't use vanilla essence. So you can use vanilla essence, or if you're really posh, you can actually put some fresh vanilla and vanilla paste in there. But I find that vanilla paste is really, really good. And now we're going to add the warm milk and cream from the pan, and just keep whisking it and adding that milk and cream bit by bit, just so it's all combined. You are ultimately going to be adding it all. You probably could put it all in there, but I just think it's you're in a lot more control if you just add it bit by bit. The texture isn't really changing this much. The texture is going to change when we do the final kind of cook of this custard shortly. But at least at this way, by adding the milk and cream mixture bit by bit, as I mentioned, you're just in control. You can just feel that everything's combining, and you'll see now as I start to go on, I add it a little bit more. I'm a bit more cavalier with how I'm adding it, just not being so cautious. It will form a bit of a foam on top. That goes when we start to cook it. I've moved over to the manual whisk now, because everything's combined. It literally is just adding the rest of the milk and cream to this. That's the custard. Not completed, because we are going to put it through the pan again. The pan that you did the milk and cream in, just give that a wipe down with some kitchen roll, or clean the pan like I've done there, and then add it back to the same pan, or use a second pan if you want. It's telling you what to do. Add the mixture in there, and now this is going to go onto a low to medium heat, and just watch it. And the more you cook this, because it's got egg in there, this is where it's going to thicken, and this is where the custard's going to get to the consistency that you want it. You're in control. After about 2 or 3 minutes on the top, that foam is going to go, so you're not going to have any foam on the top of your custard. And you get it, like I say, to the exact consistency that you want. You could just pour it on something at this stage and it's going to be delicious. I like it slightly thin, but coating the back of a spoon. You hear that in loads of cookery, like until it coats the back of a spoon. And you're like, what do you mean coats the back of a spoon? So for me, my interpretation of coats the back of a spoon is with a wooden spoon like this. You'll see when I get to a sort of texture, again, don't check whether your stove's on like I do, it's ridiculous. But when it gets to a sort of texture, or if you watch, I think I do a little, in fact, watch this. See, so I'm just constantly moving it. You don't want it to catch on the bottom. You do not want any lumps in it. So as I see the back of the spoon there, if I can run my finger down that, see I've cut a line down it, that's to me coating the back of a spoon. Did I stick my finger in my mouth then? Yes, I did. So the crumble's been in the oven. About half an hour. It's just bubbling through the top. The top's got a lovely crunch to it. The bottom is all come out. Now we're serving it. Don't forget, this isn't the prettiest dessert in the world. We're not trying to make the prettiest dessert. This is an absolutely delicious. You could call it a winter warmer, but rhubarb is summer seasonal. So that's it. That's rhubarb crumble and custard. Absolutely gorgeous. I really hope you like it, and I really hope you try it. That's it. Thank you so much for watching my videos. As always, see you on the next one.